Well, it seems that all of the AI news as of late has been centered around AI image generation. AI image generation easily is one of the most popular forms of AI that has come out really strongly last year. This year, Midjourney V5 was a huge deal, DeepFloyd IF, which just released, was a huge deal, Adobe Firefly and Bing Image Creator were also huge deals. That's sort of the main AI image generation stuff that came out this year. I plan on testing those models against each other very soon. I don't have time for that today, so what we're taking a look at is Midjourney's brand new model that they just came out with today. This is Midjourney version 5.1. I actually really wanted to test out this model because Midjourney say that this model is very similar to their old V4 model and V3 model and so on in terms of creativity, where you can provide it with just one simple prompt. Let's say one single word for a prompt actually, and it will still give you a beautiful result, where with Midjourney version 5, when they first announced it, it was like a raw mode of Midjourney, where it was meant to produce imagery that was more photorealistic, a little bit less creative, more on the side of realism rather than spontaneous creativity. So viewers, we're going to put that to the test. I have a direct comparison with some really good prompts, so you guys can see a side-by-side with Midjourney version 5 and Midjourney version 5.1. And we'll see which one is more preferred, and I think you'll be shocked by the results here. So viewers, here is our testing suite. To be honest, I think for this video it's better if I just don't have any face cam at all, because it's going to get in the way of you guys being able to see these images, because we're going to have 8 images on the screen at each time. Now, if I look over onto the left-hand side of the screen, this is going to be the original Midjourney V5. So all of this stuff right here, that is the original V5 that we've been testing out for a long time now. But over here, this stuff on the right-hand side, this is stuff that just released today, a new creative model that's more classic Midjourney. I will now disappear into the shadows, but I'll still be here to talk you guys through and give my personal thoughts and experience on this. So this is our first test image. The prompt was photography, orange tabby relaxing in a field of flowers. There is a red barn in the background, overcast day, Midwest United States, Canon 50mm. You can see both images actually did a really good job capturing the prompt. We've got the field of flowers, we've got the red barn in the background, it's an overcast day, definitely Midwest United States, and definitely an orange tabby. They also both definitely look a lot like photos. I think it's safe to say though that the original version 5 over here on the left looks a little bit more photorealistic, where I think a lot of people will agree 5.1 over here, it looks kind of like it has a filter on it. That is not super uncommon though. I mean, classically Midjourney has looked very filtered. It was only with version 5 that we kind of got those unfiltered, more gray realistic results. But overall, in my opinion, this looks a little bit more realistic. This fits the prompt just a little bit better. It looks more like that classic photography, something that would actually come out of a camera in comparison to the one over here on the side. But if you want more color out of your photo and you want it to actually look maybe pre-filtered, ready to post onto Instagram or something like that, you could go with 5.1 in this result. But I think honestly this prompt was geared a little bit more for 5 to win in comparison to 5.1. If you get up close on the details here, you can see Midjourney does not miss with this prompt. It did a very good job generating everything, I think, for both sides. There is no real loss in coherency, maybe a little bit of loss in coherency with this result up here with 5.1, but this one, very, very coherent. Same with this one as well, and the final image as well. I mean, I don't think you're losing much when moving over to 5.1 in terms of photography stuff, unless you want it to look like it just came out of the camera. Our next prompt is man hiding in a dumpster, poking his head out with a worried look, taken in downtown Los Angeles. So this one, honestly, I had to do a double take because they are both so similar. If we look at 5's result over here, I mean, it's about what you would expect. They all look like downtown Los Angeles, a guy poking his head out, worried with the dumpster. Same thing on the other side too, but they both look like they are as creative as each other, maybe with the exception of this grayscale image up here, because this is something very artistic, you know, it looks like an intentional photo. But then there's also this result that 5.1 produced, and this is very much, you know, straight out of the camera looking in comparison to something like this, which definitely looks like it is a more filtered out result. So I would say for this one, they're about even. It would have to come down to composition, and I suppose there is a little bit more varied composition with 5.1's imagery here. I mean, this one, it looks like the guy is living in the house made of a dumpster, which I really, really like. So, you know, it's really hard to tell with this one. I'd say they are tied pretty much equally with this image. Now, this is really where we start to see some of the major differences between the version 5 model and the version 5.1 model. This prompt was bouncy, bubbly, reflective, vibrant liquids bubbling, floating, and bouncing on an ornate leather chair. 4K imagery, cinematic render, Cinema 4D, Unreal Engine. So this is just asking for creativity. This is asking for fine details that you wouldn't expect. And I gotta say, 5.1 definitely delivered in comparison to 5 when it comes to those ornate little extra details that are being added on to the final result. I gotta say though, 5 has some sort of soft realism to it that does attract me in some ways. Like, you don't see a lot of this soft colored illuminated stuff in 5.1's imagery. It's something that seems to be exclusive to this Midjourney model, and I really do like that a lot. And you also see it with a soft focus background blur as well in a lot of these images. But I will say the variation in these chairs, while they're very creative chairs still, and they're very fun to look at, they're great images overall, and they definitely follow the prompts, these chairs are more ornate and they're more varied. I mean, 3 out of these 4 chairs on the 5 side are brown chairs, where there's different colored chairs in every single one of 5.1's images, and the colored bubble balls and floating liquids are all different colors as well, where pretty much in every single one of 5's images, these colorful balls are pretty much just the same multicolored, vibrant colors, where this one we've got pink ones to match this pink chair down here. We've got golden ones to match the golden chair here on this. So there's more creative decision-making that goes on with 5.1 results in comparison to 5 results. Like this one, they all sort of match the vibe that is being generated by the image that Midjourney 5.1 produced, where this is, I think, trying to follow the prompt as best as possible and saying, hey, if you want extra details, you gotta ask for them. This one says, I'll add some details for you. I'll try to be creative for you. And it really comes out with this image. I honestly, again, this is almost a tie for me in terms of which images I prefer. If I had to stick with one model to produce this kind of imagery, though, I would probably go with 5.1, just because the results are so varied, yet they're still very, very much realistic looking and very, very nice to look at. I do really love this soft 80s-esque, 70s-esque vintage glow that you get with 5 images, though, like I mentioned earlier. Now we move on to some one-word prompts. This one-word prompt was just universe. Again, this is disadvantaged towards 5 in comparison to 5.1. 5's imagery over here, I gotta say, it did a pretty good job given that the only word in the prompt was just universe. Like, this is a very detailed, really awesome universe poster wall image. However, this one, you know, we got like the solar system that it tried to create in here. Again, it's a very nice artistic image, but it says Yuri at the bottom. It can't spell. Deep Floyd IF, on the other hand, a model that I just talked about, would probably be able to spell universe given enough tries. This image is very fantastic, also very photorealistic. We've got the same thing where it says UVSEE in the middle here with a really, really cool looking image, but the text kind of ruins it. It seems that Midjourney 5.1, on the other hand, is predisposed to produce less text. And I think you guys will agree with me that these results is a lot more creative, a lot more varied, although it kind of went for like this self-impressionism deal with, you know, the person standing looking off at the universe in 3 out of these images. And you'll also notice that all 4 of these images have the human inside of them. So it's trying to do some sort of creative retrospective on this image, which is very interesting. It seems that 5's imagery over here is a lot more literal. Anyways, as we zoom in on this one, this is just a phenomenal image. Not much else to say. We've got this whole universe basking in front of this guy who's just chilling off, looking at it, and then he's standing on some sort of like moon rocks. But it's a very detailed image, very coherent, awesome result. This one maybe is a little bit more spiritual, different color scheme going on. Same basic idea, standing on this, rocky surface, and then this beautiful universe set out in front of them. And then finally, this one, again, it's the same exact idea where we've got this whole beautiful universe with someone just sort of staring off into it. And then this one, we've got this person who is experiencing the universe. It's, I guess, gravitating into their head or something like that. It's just sort of a creative image, and then it's got some screwed up text at the bottom here. But yeah, you can see less text was produced, more... I don't even know if the results are necessarily more varied. They're just more creative, and they also involve the human being a little bit more. Honestly, this one, I guess I could go either way on these results. I'm not a huge fan of any of them. They're kind of generic. They're all great results, but to me, that's a little bit of a generic style image. I don't like text on my images, though, so maybe 5.1 wins out. This one was another one-word prompt, or I guess a two-word prompt. This was sports car. Very interesting here. You can notice with Midjourney version 5, all of these vehicles are the same color. They're like an orangey red color. Two of these are Lamborghinis. Not sure what this is. I've never seen that car before, but the headlights are just ridiculous on it. This is based off of a Maserati, maybe? I think these two up on 5.1's image are very famous Ferraris. This also looks like a real car that exists in the world. I forget what its name is. And then this one looks kind of like a Pagani or a Koenigsegg, maybe something. I don't know, very supercar-ish. There's a lot else to the story, though. You'll notice on 5's side, it picked a very generic background. There's not much going on with the image in terms of extra creative details. It is just the quote-unquote sports car, and that is pretty much it. I mean, this one has an entirely blank background, and the rest of them seem to be filmed in these warehouse settings, as basic as it gets, as unoffensive as it gets. And then we come over on 5.1, we've got all of these different varied background. So this one is shot in the woods, let's say, and it also looks a lot more artistic instead of more photographic. And this one's also in the woods here, but still different varied kind of colors and backgrounds and filters over the images. This one's also kind of in a warehouse, and then this one seems to just be in California or Los Angeles or something like that. And this is a very artistic image. There is no way that this would be a photo. This looks like something that was drawn by hand. So yeah, you can see that 5.1 is going to pick different styles for you. It's going to pick different settings for you and add in those extra creative tidbits and details, where 5 is here really mainly to allow you to pick as much control as you want in terms of the prompt. For me, this one was just a dead tie. The prompt here was Walter White Breaking Bad themed McDonald's Happy Meal box with the character Walter White wearing a chef's hat. Neither of the prompts got that in there, by the way. McDonald's advertisement for Walter White Breaking Bad meal, Blue Crystals, Walter White Breaking Bad themed McDonald's Blue Crystal Burger. I gotta say, they didn't do a good job following this prompt. I was a little disappointed. But neither of them seem to be as good as each other. They all contain about the same amount of creativity. They look a decent amount like Walter White, but they did a bad job following the prompt. I mean, this one's ridiculous. This one's also really funny as well. But not much to say other than I don't see much more creativity really going on with this side in comparison to this side. I mean, maybe we've got a little bit of extra color, like we can actually see some food in there. But they all have plain backgrounds and basic Walter White stuff going on. They're all very blue. So yeah, this just shows how similar the models can get sometimes with the prompts. This one was really fun. This was World's Largest Turtle. I gotta say, they both really nailed this one. We've got the world's largest turtle for sure. There's definitely a little bit more variation going on with 5.1's images, but yeah, these all essentially with 5 are like these candid photo shots where it's like, honey, look at this giant turtle I found, please take my picture. And yeah, they're also all like old guys that found these turtles, so I don't know what it is, but Midjourney seems to associate old men with turtles. But yeah, like this one doesn't even have a head, which is interesting. This one does have a head. This is a really good result. He's sort of squatting in the mud in this rural location with this ginormous tortoise. And then this one as well, giant sea turtle almost, sort of on the beaches. So this has got like the correct location. Again, it's just the guy standing next to it. This one, he's touching the turtle, he's ready to caress it, it's like his new pet. So yeah, these are all very similar results to each other, but they're all really good, I think, and is exactly what I would expect out of the prompt. And for 3 words, it did a really good job, I think, in terms of Five's side. Like I said, lots more variation is going on here with Midjourney 5.1. This one is like the world's largest turtle. By the way, this one got the biggest turtle of all. This thing is inside of a giant building, and it is absolutely massive, and there's a ton of people standing around it. It almost looks like it's a statue or something like that. But yeah, that looks like it would be the world's largest turtle. This one's interesting. Midjourney screwed it up, put his head down here where it's not supposed to be, and like this is his butt. He doesn't have a leg. There's a guy standing near it, so this is a complete flop of a generation. I gotta say, the texture on his shell though is fantastic. Down here, we've got another similar style shot, although this time it's 2 different people and they are on this beach, which is a very different setting than we see in a lot of these images. And it's actually a very nice image of a ginormous turtle and 2 people standing next to it. And finally, we have a fairly edited one, again, in a very different location. The turtle's also got a bunch of stuff on its shell as well, and it's another guy just sort of standing next to it. So yeah, these are pretty similar, but you can see there are way more varied results when you go with 5.1 in comparison to 5. Finally, we move on to one of my favorites. This is my classic lemon prompt. I added some extra details onto this one though. This is ornate, polished, 3D render, anthropomorphic Pixar lemon character relaxing on a tropical beach, macro photography, heavily themed. So I was specifically asking for some creative themes in this prompt, and let's see what 5 did over here. These creatures are a little screwed up, these lemon characters. They're not exactly perfect. They're relaxing on a beach. It still looks like Pixar and 3D render-ish. What is going on with these disgusting lemon character feet? That is just disturbing. This guy is also dirty. He looks like he's been at the beach for a while. And then this one as well, we've got like a lemon sort of hanging out here where it probably shouldn't be for this prompt to make sense. And I gotta say, I'm pleasantly surprised in this scenario by V5.1's results. They're, I think, a little bit more coherent maybe, and very, very creative as well. You can just see that there is more variation and more creativity going on with 5.1's images. This one's got to be my favorite. You can see like he's got the lemon slices for eyeballs. He's smiling maniacally. He's heavily themed and he's just sort of sitting there. It's a really nice generation. We've got this one as well where he's relaxing in the beach chair, which I didn't even prompt it to, but he is just relaxing there. But yeah, he's fully anthropomorphic. His arm's a little screwed up, but his eyes and face are pretty good, and it's well themed and it's a well decorated image. And you can see they're having a great time. I love the details on this one and the hat and everything and the theme that's going on with this. It's fantastic. This is another really great result. And finally, this is probably the most screwed up one anatomically. He's a little bit weird, but they're still chillaxing, relaxing, and having a great time. Overall, the creative details that are added onto this one, the different structures they're sitting on, the different clothes they're wearing is a lot better, I think, than just version 5's result. So this one was another interesting demo. The prompt was "world in the palm of my hands," and you can see they both did a fantastic with this prompt, capturing the essence of what that means. All of these images are really good, but lots of creative variation going on with 5.1 in comparison to just regular 5. I mean, these 2 images on the top of 5's result look very, very similar to each other. They're both like grayscaled images of these glass globes sitting in the palm of this guy's hands. This one's a little bit interesting. Doesn't really look like a globe though. Not sure what's going on with that. And then this is probably the best result that 5 produced, where he's holding it out in the middle of the woods. It's a really beautiful image and definitely just a hand holding this glass earth, and it looks very, very accurate too in terms of a globe. The creative and more varied results here on 5.1 side I think are a little bit better. Again, we've got a pretty decent looking globe. I don't know what Australia is doing down there though, under the United States. Also, the fingers are just a little bit too long. This one is very good as well. Again, the anatomy of the earth though is a little messed up, but I do love these cosmetics that are glistening off of the hand in this image. This one is like a city or something that is being reflected in the globe that the hand is holding, which is pretty cool looking. And then this one's probably my favorite. You can see like this vegetation and encrusted globe earth is sitting on top of like a snow globe style image of a city. It's really, really cool. There's a glow that's glistening onto his hands and his body and everything like that. This is a really, really fantastic image. So I think the creativity served this prompt a little bit better than the non-creative Midjourney. This is a wacky prompt. We've got completely different results here. This prompt was simply Deja Vu. You can see Midjourney version 5.1 did a lot of creative thinking. It actually picked one art style to carry across all of these, which is really interesting. I'm not sure what any of them mean or if any of them result to the deja vu phenomenon. I'm not sure what the relation is, but it's really cool imagery. Nonetheless, all of them have little details that you need to pick out and think about and look around with. And yeah, they're images that make you think a little bit more and interpret them a little bit more. They're more artistic than this stuff, which almost seems like it's completely random. Like we've got a really nice generation actually of some roses. This actually looks like a real image. But then we've got two storefronts that try to say deja vu but don't quite get it right. And then we've got like this ring, this encrusted jeweled ring. So completely random results almost, it seems, from Midjourney 5. So I'm definitely going to give 5.1 the win on this one. And finally, this prompt was simply photo of a red-haired woman. I don't know. These are all really, really phenomenal results. There's something that attracts me more, though, about 5.1's results. From all of these 8 images, I think this one is actually the one that looks most like a photo. These are all still really photorealistic. Like this one's still really good. I don't know. It's hard to tell because they all look very, very photorealistic. You can see there's just a little bit more variation, though, going on with 5.1's images, like the different hairstyles, the different artistic choices and backgrounds, and maybe even the clothing that is picked for the woman, although they're honestly pretty similar to each other, all things considered. Very similar looking people, very similar looking clothes and settings, and honestly, even the lighting in the photos are very similar to each other. But I think it's proof that 5.1 can still do photography fairly well. I don't know, tell me what you guys think in the comments. So viewers, that was 5.1 compared to version 5. Which one do you prefer? I think that I am going to stick with 5.1 from now on when I'm generating with Midjourney, but if I'm trying to make something realistic, I'll definitely switch it back over to 5 mode, or if I need a lot of creative control. Thanks so much for watching, everybody. Check out the rest of the channel. The Discord is almost at 10,000 members, by the way. We're literally 3 members away from hitting 10,000 members on the MattVidPro AI Discord server, which is just absolutely incredible. So yeah, join that up. Let's get it to 10,000. Thanks so much for watching, guys. Let me know what I can do to improve in the future, and I'll see you in the next one. Goodbye.